In 2026, the global economy does not collapse. It does not shatter into a million pieces with the dramatic force of a sudden crisis, nor does it grind to a halt under the weight of an unforeseen catastrophe. Instead, it reorganizes, silently, methodically, and with an almost imperceptible shift in its foundational structures. The world's economic architecture begins to take on a new form. This transformation is not born from a loud, televised declaration or a moment of public panic. It traces its origins back to a single decision, a move so technical and seemingly inconsequential that most people, and indeed most of the media, barely noticed it was happening at all. It was a change buried in bureaucratic language, a footnote in the grand theater of global events. The most profound changes are rarely the ones that arrive with a thunderous announcement. They often begin in quiet rooms, documented in dense reports that are read by very few. They are the product of careful calculation, not chaotic reaction. The shift we will explore is precisely of this nature. It is a deliberate recalibration of the rules that govern how capital, goods, power flow across our planet. While headlines were focused on more immediate and visible dramas, the gears of a much larger machine were being quietly reset. It was a strategic choice made by powerful actors who understood that the future of global influence would be determined not on a battlefield, but on the balance sheets and in the trade routes that connect us all. This reorganization is happening now, beneath the surface of our daily lives. It is a process that is both complex and deeply consequential, affecting the very infrastructure of our interconnected world. We are talking about the unseen plumbing of the global system, financial networks, the supply chains, the energy grids, the alliances that have defined the post-Cold War era. For decades, we have operated under a set of assumptions about how these systems work. We assumed that goods would continue to flow along the most efficient routes, that capital would chase the highest returns regardless of borders, and that the global order was moving toward ever greater integration. That era of certainty is ending, and it is this single boring decision that serves as the catalyst for its conclusion. Understanding this monumental change requires us to look past the noise of the daily news cycle. The story of 2026 is not about a single event, but about the cascading consequences of a choice that has already been made. It is about connecting the dots between a seemingly minor policy tweak and the far-reaching impact it will have on nations, corporations, individuals. And for those who do not see the new design, the world will soon feel like a much more unpredictable and challenging place. This quiet reorganization forces us to confront a series of fundamental questions that challenge our understanding of the present moment. The first of these is perhaps the most tangible. Why are supply chains being rewritten now? For decades, the logic of global trade was simple and powerful. Produce goods wherever it is cheapest and ship them wherever they are needed. This created a complex network: manufacturing hubs, shipping lanes, logistics systems. Yet today we are witnessing a deliberate and costly effort to untangle these connections. Companies and countries are building shorter, more resilient, politically aligned supply chains, even if it means higher costs and lower efficiency. The invisible hand of the market is being guided by the very visible hand of geopolitics. Flowing directly from this is a second, even more critical question. Why are governments changing how money, energy, and trade flow? For a generation, the dominant belief was free movement of capital and commerce across borders. That ideology fueled globalization and created immense wealth, lifted millions out of poverty, but also created vulnerabilities. Now that consensus is fracturing. Governments are intervening in the mechanics of the global economy. They are imposing controls on the movement of money, weaponizing access to critical energy, and using trade policy as national security. The third question brings this global drama down to a personal level. Why will the middle class feel this decision first? Many assume geopolitical shifts are felt by bankers, executives, and politicians. But this reorganization is different. It will ripple through everyday economic life. Rerouted supply chains and new trade rules will impact the price and availability of the goods we rely on. Changing global finance will influence interest rates, the value of our savings, and the stability of our jobs. The middle class, at the nexus of production and consumption, will feel the friction first, often without knowing the source. These three questions are intertwined threads of the same story. Rewriting supply chains is a consequence of governments reasserting control over economic flows, and the middle class will bear the initial costs. The answers are not simple and point to a future more fragmented and contested than before. The illusion of a single integrated global market is giving way to competing economic blocs and strategic rivalries. To navigate what comes next, we must first understand the logic behind these unsettling but essential questions. The decision did not arrive with a dramatic flourish. It was not announced in a primetime address or at a grand international summit convened for the purpose. Instead, it was formalized in the late spring of 2024, woven into a series of seemingly unrelated bilateral and multilateral agreements. They concern the standards for cross-border data flows. They concern the protocols for digital currency transactions. They concern the verification requirements for critical minerals within preferred trade blocs. On the surface, it appeared to be a routine update to the global operating system, a necessary but unexciting bit of administrative housekeeping. This was the decision hiding in plain sight. It was not a single law passed by one country, but a coordinated set of policy alignments adopted by a powerful consortium of nations. Think of it less as a singular decree and more as a quiet harmonization of rules among allies. The public justification was straightforward and logical: to enhance security. The public justification said, to protect privacy. The public justification said, to create more resilient economic networks. The official press releases spoke of modernizing trade for the 21st century and ensuring trusted connectivity. These phrases are designed to be reassuring, to suggest continuity and careful progress. But beneath this anodyne language lay a far more radical agenda. The core of the decision was this: from 2026 onwards, access to the most lucrative markets and advanced financial systems would become conditional. It would depend on adherence to a new, unified set of standards. These standards covered the carbon footprint of manufacturing processes. They covered the cybersecurity of a nation's banking system. They covered, most critically, the origin and handling of digital information. It was presented as a choice, an invitation to join a more secure and stable economic club. But in reality, it was an ultimatum. The choice was between compliance and isolation. This move effectively created a two-tiered global economy. On one level, there would be the trusted network, a coalition of aligned countries under a shared digital and regulatory infrastructure. On the other, there would be everyone else. The architects of this plan understood a fundamental truth of modern power. You no longer need to build physical walls to control the flow of goods and capital. You simply need to control the standards. You control the protocols. You control the digital rails upon which the global economy runs. This decision was not about building a new system from scratch. It was about reprogramming the existing one to serve a new strategic purpose, locking in an advantage for decades to come.